Alright guys, so as you can see in this one we'll talk a bit about inequality graphs. Now before we get started, since we're going to be dealing with inequalities, there's a couple of things that I need to let you know about straight away. You're going to be using inequality symbols like things like that, you know, less than or greater than, that sort of stuff, and greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to, depending on where your variable is, like so. Okay. Now, when you have, since we're going to be drawing lines to represent this, if it's just got greater than or less than, then the line that we're going to draw will be a broken line, like so. And if it has got just greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, so long as you can see the equal to there, it means that the line that we'll draw will be a solid line. Alright, so look out for things like that. Now before we get started on the actual graph, let's get a few things straight first of all. On my graph here, I have got my x values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 go in there, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5, and minus 6. Now, these lines on my x-axis are all vertical lines. So this whole line here is x equals 6. This whole line here is x equals 5, and so on. This whole line is x equals 1. This whole line is x equals 0. That's my y-axis. This whole line is x equals minus 1, and so on. I think you got the picture. Just the same way, going across, this whole line is y is equal to 1, because these are all my y values. This whole line here is y equal to 3. This line is y equals minus 2, and so on. So I hope you got the idea. So let's put this into practice then. So let's just say we have some examples that we can work with. Like for example, we want to do x is less than 2, say. Well, x is equal to 2 is just here. It's on the x-axis, it's equal to 2. So because it's just less than, it means we need a broken line for that there. So we're going to represent that using a broken line. So I will draw, go to x equal to, that's a little bit off, isn't it? Right, let's make sure we get that right. So x equal to, so basically on the line of x equal to, sorry, I'm doing this free-handed, so you can see that it's not really sitting directly on the line. Anyway, this is now telling us that x is less than 2. Less than 2, all the values of x less than 2 will be on this side of the line, not that side. So they're going to all be here. So I will just shade just ever so lightly this side of the line. And that represents x is less than 2. And I can label it as such. This line is x is less than 2. Alright, now let's carry on. I'm just going to do one more just to get us into practice. We can go for y is greater than or equal to minus 4. Alright, so go to the y-axis. This is my y-axis. Find where minus 4 is. Minus 4 is just there. Because this is greater than or equal to, I am going to need a solid line for that. So I will now draw a solid line going through minus 4 as we've just agreed. And then it says that y is greater, the open side is facing y, so y is greater than minus 4. Greater than minus 4 will obviously be above the line, so all of the numbers above minus 4 are greater than minus 4, so it means that I'm just going to shade above the line there. Okay, so right, so I hope you got the idea. Now let's take this up a notch. Alright, so here we have a situation where we've got x is greater than minus 3, x is less than or equal to 2. Let's deal with that first. So find where x is minus 3. Minus 3 is there on my x-axis, and as we said before, this whole line is x would be minus 3. So I'm going to draw a broken line going up that one there. Alright, let's rub that out and get the orientation right. So here we go. That's, hope you can see that. Undo that last one. Okay. Alright, so we're going to have that line going up there, a broken line. Okay, so that's fine. It's actually quite good. It's a little bit wobbly because on the black you can hardly see it. Now, here we go again. X is less than or equal to 2. So x is less than, x is 2 is going to be there. So this whole line is x is going to be 2. This needs to be a solid line because we got the equal to going on there. So go to that line and draw a solid line going all the way up there. You don't have to make it too long. Okay, let's decide where we're going to shade, and we'll just put some arrows in there just to tell us. On this first one, x is greater than minus 3. Well, greater than minus 3 will be all the numbers on the right hand side. So I'll just put a little arrow to say I'm going to shade that side of the line. This one says x is less than or equal to 2. Well, that's this side of the line because all the numbers on the left of the line, they're less. So I'm going to put a little arrow there just as a gentle reminder I'm shading that side of the line. We'll come back to that in a minute. Now, let's deal with this y is greater than or equal to minus 1. Well, y is minus 1 right there, so this whole line needs to go across. Because it's greater than or equal to, we're looking for a solid line there. So we'll just draw a solid line going straight across there. Okay? And this says y is greater than, so all the numbers above that are greater. So we want to just put a quick little arrow there as well to tell us that we're going to shade above that line. And last of all, we've got y is less than 2. So y is equal to 2 on this line. And because there's no equal to, we're going to just literally go for a broken line on that one. So broken line going straight across there. Alright, and less than 2 means that we're looking for all the numbers below that line. So I'll just put a little arrow there to tell me I'm shading below that line. Now, as you can see, all my arrows are basically telling me that I'm shading inside of this little space here. So I'll quickly just shade inside there. And this is the region that satisfies the inequalities that we've got on the side over there. All right, good. Now, let's go on and move this on a little bit further. Now we've got a different sort of situation here where it is now written slightly differently. Now this is pretty much similar to what I've just shown you on the previous slide, but now without the commas you have to read it from the middle. So I'm going to help you to read it so that you can see what it means. Start from the middle. X, go this way first. X is less than or equal to 5. And then go back to the middle. X is greater than or equal to 1. So you always start from the middle. So let's deal with this first part. X is less than or equal to 5. Well, that's 5 on the x-axis. Because it's less than or equal to, I will need a solid line for that one. So I will now go to 5 and we will draw a solid line going all the way up there like that. Okay, because x is less than 5, we're shading on the left hand side of that line. So hence I've put my little arrow there. Now x is greater than 1. So x is 1 just there. So I will now just go solid line straight up that one as well. And because x is greater than or equal to 1, we're going to go on the right hand side. Okay, and we do use a solid line because of the greater than or equal to. Do the same thing here for the y. Y is less than 4. So this is where y is 4 on my y-axis, this whole line going across there. So I need a broken line for that one because it's not equal to. So that's going to be a broken line going across there. Okay, and because y is less than 4, I need to shade below that line. And coming back here, y is greater than 1, minus 1, sorry. So this is where minus 1 is on my y-axis. So another broken line going across that one. Okay, there we go. And because it's greater than, we go above that line. And again, you can see the common region that needs to be shaded is there. Okay, let's bring this down a little bit more. Now, you might be asked in an exam to state the coordinates that bind this region. I'm just putting it out there. You might be asked to state the coordinates that that surround this region. And basically, all you need are all of these coordinates on the corners. That's all you need, all the coordinates on the corners of that region in case you're asked for it. So you might say one of the coordinates would be 1 and minus 1. And that would be this coordinate here. X is 1, y is minus 1. Your next coordinate might be 5 and minus 1. So you might write that as 5 and minus 1. Your next coordinate will be up here, 5 and 4. So that's going to be 5 and 4. And last of all, your last coordinate here, 1 and 4. So then that's 1 and 4. So just in case you're asked, you could be asked to state the coordinates. All right, the very last thing I want to tell you now is when we've got a line that has a gradient. Let's see the next slide. Okay, so this is our final scenario here, and now you're going to see things that are slightly different. Just here, this is this is the same as what we were talking about before, so we'll read this one from the middle. That's easy to do. These ones are slightly different, so I'll take my time, go through these for you. So let's deal with this problem first then. Start from the middle. X is less than 3. So this is where x is 3, and this whole line is going to be x is less than 3. Well, it's going to be x equal 3, but then we'll shade it for less than 3. So for that one then, we will need a broken line going up there. So that's just going to be, probably should try and at least try and make this one a little bit neater now. So this one is now going to go up there as a broken line. Okay, lovely. All right, when you do this, make sure you use a ruler. Don't do it free-handed like I'm doing it at the moment, because it's not going to look very nice. So that's x is 3. Now, because we want x is less than 3, we want this side of the line. Now, let's go back to our what we've got here. So x is now greater than or equal to minus 1. So this is where x is minus 1. Because it's got equal to with it, we'll want a solid line going up there. So this is x is minus 1, nice and solid going up there. And because we want it greater, we will go on this side of the line. Okay, now here comes the issue. How do you draw this line here? Well, what I want you to do first of all is imagine that this is an equal sign. Now you probably are used to drawing a table out and then you put some x values in there and so on. We're not going to do that, because to draw a line we only need 2 points, and now you can stick your ruler on it and draw the line. The 2 points that I want to use, it could be any 2 points you choose. You can go for x is equal to 1 and then find out what y will turn out to be and so on. But I like knowing where it crosses the x and y axis. That's what I like knowing. So what I'm going to do is find out where it crosses the y axis first. And in order to do that, I need to make x 0, because at the y axis x is 0. Okay, so here we go. I will now make x 0. So I will say then this is going to be at y axis. So I'll end up with y is greater than 0 minus 2. So it means that in this case y will be greater than minus 2. So I'll just put a mark there on the graph where y is minus 2, which is just here. So I'll just put a mark there. Just put a cross there. Okay, good. So I know that my line will go through that point. I need another point where it crosses, because now I want to know where on the x-axis the line is going to cross. So for that one, I am then going to make this equal to 0, because on the x-axis that's where y is 0. So I'll just carry on working over here. So I'm going to say at x-axis. Let's make sure we don't get this tied up with each other. So at x-axis, y is going to be 0 this time. So I will have 0 is greater than x minus 2. Now all I need to do is bring that 2 on that side, and then I'll end up with a positive 2 this time. It's greater than x. So I now know that this line is going to cross the x-axis at the number 2. So I'll put a cross there. Those are the 2 lines I needed now. The 2 points that I needed to draw the line. I could now take my ruler and then draw a line going straight through there. Alright, so let's do that. Okay, so there is my line drawn, going through the 2 points there that we just spoke about. And because this is greater, y is greater, we're going to make the big bold assumption that we're going to shade above this line. Now there's a way we can check, which I can show you, but it's going to only serve to cause confusion. I'll mention it in passing in a bit, but for now, just basically say that because this y is greater, greater is above the line, less is below the line. Okay, all right, let's sort this one out then. Let's sort this one out. I'll do the exact same thing for this one. I will check to see where it crosses the x-axis and where it crosses the y-axis, and then we'll draw that. Okay, so now we're going to say that at the y-axis, remember what happens at the y-axis, this becomes 0. So we'll end up then with y is less than 0 plus 3. So y is less than 3. So we now know that it crosses right here at 3 on the y-axis, because it says y is less than 3. So we're going to go and put a mark at that point. That's good. Got a mark there. Now let's find out what happens at the x-axis. So keep my color scheme. So at the x-axis, we know now that this is going to be 0. So let's plug that in then. So we get 0 is less than x minus 3. We now rearrange to bring that 3 over there. Sorry, it should have been x plus 3, shouldn't it? I do beg your pardon, because it's a plus there. All right, So as I was saying, we bring that 3 over, it now becomes minus, so we get minus 3 is less than x. All right, and that is just there. That is where x is minus 3. So I will now go and put a cross at that point. I've got my 2 points now. I'm quite happy. I now know I can just stick my ruler and join these 2 points here, drawing that line. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so there is my line. And again, we'll make the same assumption. Y is less than the equation. We'll assume that less is below the line and greater than is above the line. So because it's less, we will now aim for shading below that line. And now it is pretty clear to see that the region that I need to shade is just in here. Okay, so we're going to shade that region in there real quick. And you could be asked the question, as I said in the last slide, of what are the coordinates that bound this region, and the coordinates that bound this region are all the corners of the shaded region. So I'll just write it next to them. I think this one will be -1 and -3, and this one over here will be 3 and 1, so we can write that in as 3 and 1. This one up here would be 3 and 6, so 3 and 6. And the last one on this corner just here would be -1 and 2, so -1 and 2. So just mentioning it because you can be asked that. All right, guys. So that is all on inequality graphs. It does get a little bit harder on linear programming if you ever have to do it, but this is the general consensus of how it goes. All right. So I hope this was helpful. Feel free to ask any question that you'd like on the YouTube channel. On how do you know which side of the line to shade, and I might actually do something a little bit separate on that, but for now just take it as rule of thumb that if it's less than, then we go below the line. If it's greater than, you go above the line. All right, that's it.